Hello, and this is Carrie from Your Level Best. And before I begin, if you like our videos, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So on with the video. Today I'm actually going to talk about adding vitamin A to a recipe. It's better that you actually eat your vitamins rather than take them as supplements. I don't know about you, but I don't particularly love taking a lot of pills, and that's pretty much what supplements are pills, and you can also take too much. If you eat them through food, it's a whole heck of a lot better for you. It's natural. I know there's a lot of people out there that are worried about natural. It's natural to get your vitamin A through your food, and it also tastes a whole heck of a lot better. And this is coming from somebody who does take some vitamin supplements herself, so full disclosure, I actually do, but those are medically necessary. So if you do feel that you need to take a vitamin A supplement, please make sure to talk to your doctor. So vitamin A is a very important vitamin. We all know vitamin A is good for our eyes. That's something we've heard a lot. Eat your carrots for your eyes. But it also helps our organs function, and it's good for our immune system. So one thing I do want to mention before I talk about actually adding these items to a recipe is to keep in mind, if you are taking a supplement under a doctor's orders, or if you're taking retinol, please be sure to not add too much vitamin A to your recipe. And here's the reason why. You're already getting enough vitamin A through the medications that you're taking, and you could easily take too much vitamin A. And as with any vitamin, there is actually an upper limit to how much you can have. So please be careful if you're doing any of those things, just so that you don't get OD'd on vitamin A. So let's go ahead and get started on the ingredients that I like to use in a recipe to increase the vitamin A. Now, the same as I did with the protein, what I like to do is I add the ingredients I want in my recipe to my fitness website that I use, where I can actually add the ingredients and it will tally up the nutrition for me. So a lot of times when I need to add vitamin A to a recipe, I use the following items, and these are all excellent sources of vitamin A. So first off, I'm going to talk about the butternut squash. Now, this is something that's best to buy in the fall. Not to say that you can't get it year-round. You can get it year-round in most places. It's just more expensive. But a butternut squash is very tasty. It adds fiber, but it also adds vitamin A. And if you cut one of these open, you can actually see the orange color. And as you'll notice, all the things that I'm talking about today have an orange color. And just so you know, if you do end up eating too much vitamin A through any of these methods, there is a skin discoloration that can happen, but you got to eat quite a bit in order for that to happen, and luckily it's reversible. So if you end up eating too much and your skin gets a little orange, just wait a few days and it'll go away. So butternut squash is usually a fall-winter type thing, but you can get it year-round. It's tasty, it's sweet. You can roast it, you can add it in all kinds of recipes, and you can even puree it, make it into soup. It's very tasty, very sweet, and it's even sweeter when it's roasted. Next, I'll talk about the sweet potato. This one's actually a very humble ingredient. I know a lot of folks in the South love their sweet potatoes, and it's actually a very healthy ingredient. It is a starch, but it's actually very good for you. You don't want to put way too much of this in your recipe because it does add a lot of calories as well, but it actually gives you a nice benefit. Besides tasting good, I love sweet potatoes. It also adds the vitamin A, but it also adds potassium and fiber. So if you can leave the skin on, it adds more nutrients. So leave the skin on if you can. And it's better if you don't douse it in butter and salt or make it into sweet potato casserole. I know we love that over Thanksgiving, but if you're gonna add a lot of sugar and sauce and butter and salt to something that you're cooking, it's going to negate any of the nutritional value you get from it. So make sure to just use this as an adjunct to add a little vitamin A to your recipe. There's also pumpkin. This is also a fall thing. Now, you can use canned pumpkin. Canned pumpkin is available year-round. It's a good source of vitamin A, and I actually use this in place of tomato sauce in a lot of recipes. One of the things I cannot do is eat tomatoes. Actually, Tony and I both have trouble with tomatoes for different reasons. So I've actually omitted them from our diet, which sucks because I like them a lot. We both like them. But one of the ways that I've actually substituted for tomato sauce in a recipe is actually with pumpkin. And while it does not give that tomato taste, it does give a nice texture. It actually gives the same texture as the sauce, and actually I like the taste. It's actually pretty mild. It's not like you put it into the recipe you're using and it's going to make it taste overwhelmingly like pumpkin. It's actually pretty neutral. It gives it a little bit of a taste, but not much, not enough to where you're very sensitive to it. Oh my God, this is overwhelmingly pumpkin. But you're probably going to be using canned pumpkin more than fresh. The fresh pumpkin, you can actually get fresh pumpkin, and I've done this myself, is actually gotten the fresh pumpkin squash and cleaned it out and cut it up and froze it for the year. And I used it in chilies, in soups. I've sauteed it and roasted it. A lot of people don't do that because they're like, pumpkins are for making jack-o'-lanterns, and if you're gonna make pie, you can only use the can, which is not true. So if you grew a lot of pumpkin this year, consider cutting some of it up and eating it. You can peel it. It's actually pretty easy. So it's a good source of vitamin A. Again, it's another orange vegetable, and it does add a lot of flavor, but it's not overpowering. The last thing I want to talk about are carrots. Now, everybody probably knows about carrots and vitamin A. This is nothing new, but the reason I wanted to mention carrots is because they're cheap. I know a lot of folks are into saving money during the year, and sometimes you just can't afford to buy butternut squash off season, or buy pumpkin off season, or even sweet potatoes off season. Sweet potatoes are usually more of a fall thing. That's when they usually go on sale. But you can use them any time of year you like. But carrots are inexpensive all year around. They're very good for you. They give a lot of fiber. They give a lot of sweetness to a recipe, and they also give a good dose of vitamin A. So if you check out the blog post, I actually have the amount of vitamin A per serving for each one of these things. So each gives a good dose of vitamin A to a recipe. Now, you don't need to add necessarily a whole bunch of it to raise the vitamin A. All of these don't have to be, maybe a carrot or two. Also, adding a can of pumpkin, or adding a sweet potato, or part of a squash. You don't have to add all of these things at once. So that's it. That's how we add vitamin A to a recipe. So how do you do it? How do you add vitamin A to a recipe? And if you check out the blog post, I actually have listed one ingredient that has more vitamin A than all of these combined here in front of me. It's actually something, I'm not recommending it only because A, it's so extremely high in vitamin A, it will shoot you off the charts. And B, unless you really like it, and I will admit it, it's not my favorite thing in the world. Unless you really like it, it's probably not something you're going to use or add to a recipe, but I do have it listed on the blog post just in case you were interested, as well as all the USDA recommended daily allowance of vitamin A per serving. I also have the data set if you're really kind of geeky and you wanna see how that works. So I have those on the website. Tell us how you like to add vitamin A to a recipe. Maybe you've got some ingredients that I haven't thought of here. These are just the ones that I use every day. So if you like this video, please subscribe. Leave us a comment down below if you have questions, concerns, want us to cover something else in a video, and we'll see you next time.